She banged on my door so hard the glass shook, and before I could even open it, she shouted, "Step outside right now! You're violating HOA rules again!" I stared at her, confused, because this wasn't even an HOA community. Still, she marched onto my porch like she owned the whole street. She pointed her phone at me and screamed, "I'm calling the cops. I warned you. People like you can't just move here and do whatever you want." Her voice echoed across the driveway, and neighbors peeked from behind curtains like it was some kind of show. I kept calm. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't even step closer. I just said, "Ma'am, I'm not under your HOA." She froze for a second, then her face twisted with rage. "You don't tell me what rules apply. I run this block," she barked. And before I could say another word, she dialed 911 and said, "Send officers now. He's refusing a lawful order." A lawful order from someone who didn't even have the right to stand on my porch. She paced in circles like she was preparing the perfect drama. "Oh, you're done after today," she hissed. "I'll make sure they drag you off your own lawn." I watched her, still silent, because deep down I knew something she didn't, something that would flip this whole situation upside down. Just then, she slammed a bright red HOA violation immediate fine notice on my door. It wasn't even printed right. The logo was crooked, the signature was fake. She said, "You think you're smart. When the cops get here, you'll learn who runs this neighborhood." Her confidence was unreal, like she believed her word could erase my property deed. A car rolled up the street. She pointed at it and shouted, "Yes, they're here for you." She folded her arms, smiling like she'd already won. I stayed standing exactly where I was, quiet, steady, not even blinking, because she still had no idea who she had just called. She didn't know the officers stepping out of the SUV weren't responding to her. She didn't know the badges she was counting on were the same ones that answered to me. And when the first officer walked toward us, Karen whispered under her breath, "Finally, he's going to jail." She had no clue she just triggered the biggest mistake of her life. The moment the officers stepped onto my driveway, Karen rushed forward like she'd been waiting her whole life for this. "Officers, over here, arrest him right now," she yelled, waving her arms like she was directing traffic. She didn't even let them breathe before she added, "He's dangerous, he's aggressive, and he refuses to follow HOA rules. I fear for my safety." The first officer glanced at her, confused, then looked at me, and his face softened. Not because he believed her, but because he knew exactly who I was. Still, he kept his voice steady. "Ma'am, can you step back for a moment?" "Step back? No, you need to get him off this property. He thinks he's special just because he bought cheap land." Her eyes flashed with that entitled fire again. "You better do your job because I'll report you too if you don't." The officer lifted an eyebrow. "Report me to who?" "To the HOA Board," she barked. "They run this entire area. I run it. We decide who gets to live here." The other officer, my closest guy on the team, let out a slow breath. He wasn't laughing, but he was close. "Ma'am, before we continue, can you show us proof that this is an HOA community?" Karen jabbed a finger toward my house. "Proof? That man is the proof. Look at his truck. Look at his tools. He's breaking every rule. You need to remove him or fine him, whatever cops do." The second officer moved closer to me. "You okay?" I nodded. "Yeah, just tired of this." Karen spun toward him. "Don't talk to him like he's a victim. He threatened me." I hadn't said a single threat. I just stood there. She kept building lies like she was stacking bricks for a wall. Then she made her biggest mistake yet. She pointed right at my chest and shouted, "You're not allowed to step outside without HOA permission. You're trespassing on your own land." The first officer finally spoke with a tone she couldn't ignore. "Ma'am, you need to calm down." "Calm down?" She stepped closer to him. "Do your job and arrest him." He leaned slightly toward her and said in a low voice that changed everything,
Ma'am, this man is not under your HOA, and the only reason we're here is because we protect him. Karen blinked fast. What? Protect him from who? The officer looked right at her. From people who think they can take his land. Her jaw dropped, but she still didn't understand. Not yet. The real shock was seconds away.
Karen staggered back like someone had pushed her, but her pride refused to let her stay quiet. She forced a laugh, loud and shaky. Protect him? From me? I'm the HOA president. I know every property line in this neighborhood. He doesn't belong here. He moved in without approval. The officer didn't even look at her now. He was watching me, waiting for my signal. I gave a small nod, and he stepped aside, letting me walk past him. Karen's eyes widened as I moved closer, calm as ever. "What are you doing?" she snapped. "You don't get to walk around while the cops are here. Stand still." I didn't answer. I reached into my pocket slowly, and she flinched like she expected a weapon. Instead, I pulled out a single folded document, thick paper, embossed seal, signatures across the bottom. She tried to snatch it, but the officer blocked her hand with one move. I opened it in front of her. "This is the actual property map. This land never belonged to your HOA. It never will." She scanned it, confused, mumbling to herself. "No, this can't be right. This neighborhood has been HOA for 20 years. I make the rules. I cut her off. "You didn't read the county updates last year, did you? They removed 3 lots from HOA authority after the last fraud incident." Her face paled. "Fraud incident?" The second officer, my guy, stepped forward. The one where a board member tried to forge documents to take land she didn't own. She swallowed hard. That was never proven." He smirked, because the person left the board before the investigation finished. Her lips trembled. You don't even know who I am." I looked straight into her eyes. "They do. They know exactly who you are." She shook her head fast. No, they don't. I'm the president. I have authority. I can call the sheriff if I want." The officer tilted his head. "Ma'am, who do you think trained us?" She blinked. "What?" I took a slow breath. "I'm not just a homeowner. I'm head of private security for the county's tactical unit. These officers, they're part of my protection team." Karen stumbled backward like she might fall. You're lying. You have to be lying." The officer unclipped his radio. "Control, confirm security clearance for Chief Dalton." Karen gasped. "Chief?" The radio crackled. Immediately. "Confirmed. Standing order. Assist him in any conflict on his property." Karen's mouth opened. She looked between the officers and me, her confidence draining like someone had pulled a plug. But instead of stopping, she made one last move, a desperate one. She grabbed her phone, pointed it at me, and screamed, "This is abuse of power. I'm reporting all of you. I'll shut down this whole fake operation." And that was the moment she crossed a line she never should have touched.
She held her phone up like it was a weapon, shaking so hard the camera couldn't even focus. "I'm live streaming," she shouted. "Everyone will see how you people are threatening an HOA president." The officers didn't move. They didn't need to. She didn't realize her biggest problem wasn't the cops. It was the evidence she was accidentally creating for herself. She stormed closer to me, camera in my face. "Say something! Tell them why you think you're above the HOA rules!" I didn't speak. I didn't blink. I just let her rant. The first officer lifted a hand. "Ma'am, put the phone down. You're escalating the situation." She snapped back. "I'm escalating. Him standing on this porch is the real crime." Then she made her fatal mistake. She stepped onto my property, past the stone marker she didn't even bother to look at. My officer spoke calmly. "Ma'am, you just trespassed." She froze mid-sentence. No, I didn't. This is HOA area. The whole street is HOA. I pointed at the marker she'd stepped over. That stone marks the legal boundary the county set after the fraud case. Everything past that line is private, not HOA, not yours. She stared at the marker like it had appeared out of thin air. That can't be real. Someone planted that to trick me. The second officer leaned down, brushed away some dirt, and revealed the engraved county seal. This was placed by surveyors. It's official. Her face twisted, denial mixing with panic. You can't do this. You can't just take land away from the HOA. We have rules. I stepped closer, not threatening, just steady. You didn't lose this land today. You lost it when you forged signatures last year. She jerked her head up. I never forged anything. The officer crossed his arms. We have the files. The county reopened the case this week. You are already under review. Her whole body went still. The county reopened what? I nodded. And your little live stream? You just recorded yourself trespassing, threatening officers, and issuing fake legal orders. Her phone slipped a little in her hand. No. I didn't threaten anyone. I was enforcing rules. You were enforcing rules on land you don't control and impersonating authority. She took a single shaky step back. This isn't fair. I built this neighborhood. I kept people like him out. She bit her lip too late. The officers exchanged a look. I tilted my head. People like me? She stuttered. I mean, people who break rules. People who don't fit the HOA standards. The officer stepped forward. Ma'am, put the phone down. She clutched it tighter. No, I'm not letting you twist this. I'll call higher authorities. I'll get every board member out here. She spun around and stopped dead because parked silently behind her was a black SUV she hadn't noticed. And when the door opened, her entire face drained of color.
A tall man stepped out of the black SUV. Clean suit, badge hanging straight from his belt, the kind of presence that makes the whole street go silent without him saying a word. Karen's mouth fell open as he walked toward us, each step slow, deliberate, like he already knew everything before he arrived. She whispered, "No, not him. Why is he here?" The officers beside me straightened instantly. "Director Hale, good timing." Karen stumbled backward. Wait, the county compliance director? You can't be here for me. I didn't do anything." Hale ignored her completely. His eyes were on me first. "You good?" he asked. I nodded. "Just another HOA meltdown." Then he finally turned to her, and that alone made her knees wobble. "Ma'am," he said, voice calm but sharp like a blade, "we received your live stream." Karen blinked fast. Good, Den. You saw what he's doing?" "I saw you. Trespassing, issuing fake violation notices, claiming HOA authority over exempt land, threatening security officers, and attempting to intimidate a county contractor." She gasped. "Contractor? What contractor? Who?" Hale pointed at me. "Him." Her jaw dropped open again. No, he isn't. He's just some guy who moved here without permission." Hale arched a brow. "He is the chief coordinator for property security in 3 counties. The man you've been screaming at is the one we send to handle corrupt HOA cases." Her hands started shaking. I didn't know. I thought he was lying. I thought—" "You thought," Hale said, stepping closer, "you could bully another homeowner with fake rules, just like you did last year and the year before."
She backed up until her heel hit the curb. That's not true. I kept order. I kept the neighborhood clean. People supported me. Hale pulled a folder from the SUV, thick, filled with papers and tabs. Really? Because I have 12 complaints, 5 forged notices, 3 fraudulent fees, and 1 attempt to seize land that didn't belong to the HOA. Her lips trembled. That's all lies, made up by troublemakers. He opened the folder. This particular file is about Lot 43, the land you tried to take, which belonged to his cousin. Karen stopped breathing. Her eyes darted toward me, then back at the officers. No, this is a setup, a trap. You're all working together against me. Hale sighed. Ma'am, the only person who trapped you is you. She stepped forward with a shaky voice. I need to call my board. They'll protect me. They'll explain everything. But Hale didn't give her the chance. He nodded to the officers. Show her. The officer beside me unlocked his phone, turned the screen toward her, and hit play. And there it was. The group chat. Her entire HOA. A flood of messages. We're done supporting her. She's on her own. She crossed too many lines. If the county asks, we'll testify. Karen's knees buckled. No, they wouldn't. They're my friends. Not anymore, and you're not their president either. She swallowed hard. What do you mean? He looked her dead in the eye. You were officially removed from the HOA board this morning. Karen let out a broken sound, half gasp, half scream. You can't do that. You can't take my power. You already lost it. Today's just the first time someone told you to your face. But he wasn't done. Not even close.
Karen's breath came out in short, sharp bursts, like the air itself was turning against her. She grabbed at her sweater, clutching it tight, trying to hold on to the last pieces of control slipping through her fingers. You can't just show up and ruin my life in one day, she shouted, voice cracking. You don't understand what this neighborhood would look like without me. I kept it perfect. I kept out the wrong people. Hale's eyes narrowed. Wrong people? You might want to choose your next words very carefully. Karen's lips closed instantly, but the damage was already done. The officer stiffened. Even the neighbors peeking through blinds pulled back slightly, like they didn't want to be associated with her anymore. I finally stepped forward, not aggressive, just steady. You kept out anyone you couldn't control. That's the difference. She pointed at me with a trembling finger. I didn't control, I managed. That's what a president does. Everyone respected me. Hale lifted the folder again, flipping to a page. You want to hear what your neighbors really said? Karen's eyes darted side to side. No, please don't. He read anyway. They fine us for plants being 2 inches taller. Threatened to tow my car for parking in my own driveway. Use the HOA funds for personal projects. We were scared to speak up. Karen shook her head violently. They're lying, all of them. They're jealous because I ran things the right way. The officer beside me finally stepped forward. Ma'am, you didn't run things, you terrorized people. Karen docked away again, hands raised like she was defending herself from words. I only wanted order. If I didn't enforce rules, this place would fall apart. Look at him. He came with loud trucks, tools, construction. He broke the quiet hours. I was fixing the problem. I let out a slow exhale. My crew was building a wheelchair ramp for my injured veteran neighbor. You shut us down for noise. Her eyes widened. That wasn't on the schedule. You didn't file the right forms. I have a system. Hale held up a finger. Enough. Karen stopped mid-sentence, mid-breath, mid-denial. He opened another document, one with a red seal at the top. This is the part you're not going to like. Karen's voice dropped to a whisper. What is that? This, Hale said, is the warrant request, filed 3 days ago. She looked like she might faint. No,
No, you said my case was still under review. You said they were only investigating. That was before, Hale replied calmly. Your little performance today. Karen's legs shook as she took a step back, but there was nowhere left to run. The curb was behind her. The officers were in front of her. The neighbors were watching. Her board abandoned her, her power gone, her lies exposed. And then Hale said the one line that hit her harder than anything else all day. Ma'am, today isn't about HOA violations anymore. Karen swallowed and tears starting to build. Then what is it about? It's about criminal charges. Her face twisted with panic. No, please, you can't arrest me. I didn't mean for it to go this far. Hale nodded at the officers. Read 'em to her. One officer pulled out a small notepad. Impersonating authority, filing false notices, trespassing, harassment, attempted property fraud, and today obstruction of a security team during an investigation. Karen's breathing turned frantic. No, please, I can fix everything. We can talk, we can make a deal. Hale stepped aside and pointed toward me. If you want to beg someone, beg the man whose land you tried to steal. Karen turned slowly, eyes trembling, and for the first time all day, she didn't yell. She didn't command. She didn't threaten. She whispered, Please, don't let them take me.
Her voice barely came out, shaky and broken, nothing like the woman who had been screaming orders minutes earlier. She reached toward me like I was her last lifeline. Please, I didn't know. I didn't mean. I just wanted things to stay the way I created them. I didn't move. I just stared at her, calm, steady, the way you look at someone who finally ran out of excuses. You didn't create anything, I said quietly. You destroyed it. You hurt people because you could, and you thought nobody would ever stand up to you. She shook her head, tears spilling now. I can apologize. I can fix the notices. I can refund the fines. Please, don't let them ruin my life over one mistake. Hale didn't let her finish. One mistake? You've been doing this for years. Karen spun to him. I was trying to protect the neighborhood. They trusted me. They tolerated you. That's not the same thing. She covered her mouth with her hands, breath shaking. Please, I can't go to jail. You don't understand. I have influence. I know county people too. I can call someone higher than you. Hale chuckled once under his breath. Higher than me? Ma'am, he's the one who trained half the security officials you think outrank us. Karen's face twisted again, fear mixing with a sudden wild spark of desperation. You're all lying. This is a setup. You want the property for yourself. That's what this is. You people are working together to force me out. Then she made another reckless choice. She bolted toward her car. The officers moved instantly, but she was fast. Panic gave her speed. She yanked her door open, fumbling for something inside. Hale's voice dropped. Don't do this, Karen. But she ignored him. Seconds later, she pulled out a thick folder stuffed with papers, seals, signatures. She held it above her head like proof of her innocence. This, she screamed, this shows I had authority. These are the old maps, the old rules. This land was ours. I was right. I was right. The wind caught a few pages, scattering them across the street. One officer grabbed a sheet mid-air, then froze. Director, you need to see this. Hale took the page. His eyes scanned it once. Then his entire expression changed. What is it? I asked. He handed it to me. My stomach tightened the moment I saw it. It wasn't just a fake notice. It was a forged transfer form, with Karen's signature on the authorizing party line, and my property number written in the description. Karen saw our faces and screamed, No, that's not the real one. That's an old draft. That's not. I didn't send that. But the ink wasn't old. The seal wasn't faded. It was stamped just last week. Hale lifted his radio. Control, upgrade charges. We have active property fraud.
Karen's scream echoed across the entire block. "No, no, it's not fraud. I was just trying to fix the maps. They were wrong. I was trying to help the community." Her voice cracked into a sob. The officers moved in slowly, giving her space, but not letting her slip away again. She clutched the folder to her chest like it could protect her. "I didn't steal land. I was taking it back." I stepped closer, my voice calm but sharp. "It was never yours." She looked up at me, eyes red, defeated. "But it should have been." And just when everyone thought the moment had hit its peak, the second officer's radio crackled again. "Be advised, we have new information. The HOA Board president demanded private access to county files last month. Authorization was denied. She attempted to use a forged badge to enter restricted records." Karen's entire body went limp. The officers exchanged a look. Hale's jaw tightened. "This is worse than we thought." Karen whispered one last line, weak, terrified, almost childlike. "Please, somebody help me." But nobody moved. Her final twist was still waiting to drop.
Karen's voice cracked as she whispered for help, but the street had gone silent, like even the wind didn't want to be on her side anymore. She clutched the folder to her chest, shaking, eyes darting around for someone, anyone, to defend her. But all she found were faces she had bullied for years, now staring at her with the same thought. This is what justice looks like. The officers moved closer, slow and controlled, ready to place her in cuffs. She backed up instinctively until her heel hit the gutter and she froze again. For a moment, she just stood there, like her mind finally accepted everything was falling apart. Then, her phone, still live streaming, buzzed in her hand. A message popped up on the screen, one she clearly didn't expect. Hale noticed it first. "What's that?" Karen tried to hide the screen, but another buzz came, then another, notifications flooding in. The second officer stepped forward. "Ma'am, turn the phone around." "No," she yelled, hugging it to her chest. This has nothing to do with you. Stop asking." But Hale took one step toward her, voice calm but sharp. "Karen." She flinched. Slowly, shaking, she turned the screen toward us. The chat wasn't from the HOA. It wasn't from the neighborhood. It wasn't even from a local group. It was from a private server. A group filled with messages from people she had been secretly coordinating with. Pictures of houses, documents, land maps, names of homeowners marked with Target, and next to some of them, small dollar signs. My blood went cold. Hale's eyes darkened. The officer stiffened. He grabbed the phone out of her hand. "What is this?" he demanded. Karen's voice broke. "Please, it's not what it looks like." One officer scrolled through the messages, his jaw tightening with every line. Then he read aloud. "Got another one. Single dad. Easy to intimidate." Another message. "If we push hard this month, we'll own 5 more lots by summer." And another. "Don't worry, I can make the cops show up whenever we want." She shook her head violently. No, that wasn't me. I didn't write those. I was just..." But then the next message popped up. A voice message. The officer hit play, and the audio filled the street. Karen's voice. Clear, calm, calculating. "We pressure them until they give up or move out. People like them don't fight back." Her knees finally gave out. She dropped to the pavement, hands over her ears like she could block out her own voice. "No, that was just strategy. I wasn't hurting anyone. I just wanted control." Hale knelt down in front of her. "You weren't running an HOA," he said softly. You were running an extortion ring. Karen sobbed harder. I didn't steal anything. I didn't. I was making the neighborhood better. Hale pointed at her phone. You were planning to take 5 properties, 5 families, 5 lives. She shook her head. If they would have listened to me, it wouldn't have gone this far. I stepped closer. You went after my family. Karen looked up at me, eyes swollen, voice shaking. I didn't know who you were. That's the point. You never cared who anyone was. Hale finally gave the order. Cuff her. The officers gently took her arms. She didn't fight this time. She didn't scream. She didn't threaten. She just whispered, I only wanted power. As they read her rights, neighbors gathered outside, quiet, watching justice unfold in real time. But then, as they walked her toward the SUV, she turned her head and said something so cold, so unexpected, every officer stopped for a second. This isn't over, she whispered. You think I'm the only one? Hale froze. What does that mean? Karen smiled. A small, broken smile, but a smile. You have no idea how deep this goes. And just like that, they closed the door on her. But her final words hung in the air like a warning, a twist no one on that street was ready for.